Westplex 107, let me try that again. Westplex 107.1 got my bed with my name on it. You know what? I'm going back there. Shelley, you know what?
I actually thought about the same thing. I'm like, I'm really tired. I really do think I'm going to go back to take a little nap.
Well, let's just say the heck with the show and just go back to bed. How's that?
No, that's not the same.
What do you mean it's not the same?
Because, Brad, we need to have a morning show. It's the highlight of our day.
Oh, listen to you. Highlight of my day is driving around and seeing all the stores that are closed and seeing that there's nobody at the airport and listening to other radio stations and having them talk about the fact that, heard this morning, the city of St. Louis is now closing parks to vehicular traffic. And I'm thinking to myself, huh? You can't even drive in the parks anymore. No.
Does that mean Forest as well?
They've closed several roads in Forest Park.
Is Forest Park, is that city or is that county?
No, it's city. It's right on the edge of the city. Matter of fact, the western city limits of the city actually are just a little bit west of Forest Park. You know, we have Skinker that runs north and south there on the western side of the park. There's a little bit of the city on the west side of Skinker. So, like depending upon what part of Skinker, not much. Like some places, like maybe a block, and then it turns into Clayton. Matter of fact, it's sort of weird that, I don't know if you remember when they had the Better Together thing going on, they would have the meetings at, what's the hotel right there on the corner of Clayton and Skinker? You know what I'm talking about. The old English place. Clayshire, okay, or whatever. It wasn't Clayshire. It's not Clayshire. What is it? It's where they filmed part of.
I know what you're talking about.
But it's not
Cheshire Inn.
Cheshire Inn. Okay, they had the meetings there on purpose because part of the hotel is in the city and part of the hotel's in the county. And that's where they picked that. Hey, we want to pick a place where it's like emblematic of what it's going to be like with the new Better Together. Anyway, that's the weird thing about that. And, and it's sort of bizarre. I mean, there's like, for example, I know a place that a manufacturing plant where it sits like right on the edge of like two different municipalities in St. Louis County. And part of it is in one municipality. The office of the plant is in one municipality, and the rest of the plant is in the other municipality. Isn't that weird?
There's actually a place down on in Jeffco that's got that. So, I think it's a bootery now, but yeah.
A bootery. So what are we doing here, Shelley? I mean, what is the purpose of our show this morning? What is the purpose of life, Shelley? Tell me what that is. I want to know.
To put people in the most best possible mood. And to say a little BS along the way to kind of keep it interesting. And then Brad fusses at me and I fuss at him.
Well, yesterday more.
Did that not answer your question?
Well, no, you know what? I mean, it's to the point where I have to be honest that this time of the year, normally for me, is invigorating. I love the change between winter and spring. And we talked about this yesterday morning that like this past weekend, all of a sudden on Sunday, like everything went green. It had been turning green, but it's just like, I think it was to the point where the temperatures were the right and, the right spot. And then, the sun came out on Sunday and everything looked great. And now to me, everything's like, oh man, it all sucks. Like here we got Governor Parson coming on yesterday. Well, we're going to extend the 10 people, the meeting of 10 people for, it's supposed to expire April 6th, and we're going to make it now expire, May 6th, maybe even June 6th. And you've got the two governors that came out yesterday from Maryland and Virginia. And Virginia is like really, well, they're both strict to the point where they both extended it to June 10th. And in Maryland, if you're out and about and you don't have an excuse other than, just, being an essential worker, you spend it's $5,000 fine and like a year in jail. I'm going like, no, hold on a minute.
Well, the Electric Boys are out in full force.
The who?
The Electric Boys, Ameren and Quiver.
How do you know that?
Because I saw them in multiple locations.
What are they doing?
their Quiver River Electric stuff.
Quiver's still putting those filters on the line so that the virus doesn't go through the electric lines. They're still working on that.
Oh, and I mean, it was actually I wanted to take a picture of it because it was kind of a beautiful sight. But I like stuff like that. But there were, the big boom trucks that have the basket in them.
Yeah, I love those boom trucks, man. They sound really good when they play that rap. That boom, 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 boom.
They do.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was, I don't know if it was 2 locations or the same location. Was it a black cat or was it the same black cat? Was it different? Any glitch in the matrix. Anyway.
What the hell are you talking about?
Booms, and there was 3 of them together, and they had these booms, and they were all facing each other like they were having a little conference, but they were all practicing the 6-foot rule up in the air in these, we used to call them cherry pickers, but
Shelley?
What?
Have you been drinking?
No. Why?
Have you been smoking something other than your vape?
No. Why?
You could take your conversation, your little, whatever you want to call it, your monologue you just talked about, and you could put it back in the 60s.
My manifesto?
Well, you could put it back in the 60s, and people would be going, "Wow, man, listen to her talk about that. Yeah, those boom trucks. Yeah, well, it was something."
Isn't that what they're called?
No, but what you were saying was so bizarre. They were dancing, or whatever did you say? The boom.
I didn't say they were dancing. They were up and they were in the air, and they were having like a conversation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, like these boom trucks, they were like up in the air, man, and they were like talking back and forth. It was like, it
was just cute. It was like a little
so
social
heavy
distancing soiree.
And then what's interesting was somebody put on Iron Butterfly and got a DeVita, and they were like bouncing back and forth to the beat. Oh man, you should have been there.
Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. Singster says, what?
What are we doing here, Shelley? I'm going to go back to bed. I'm going to play a song.
I don't sound right to you?
One of my former bosses, who was always high in cocaine.
Okay, well, I'm not high on cocaine. Nor am I
No.
Nor am I
What I'm saying
drunk.
is, listen to what I'm saying. One of my former bosses, who was always high in cocaine, if he were to be listening to this show, he'd call you up and he'd go, "Shelley, whatever we're paying you, we need to quadruple that because you are something else."
I am something else, Brad. But that doesn't mean that I was high or drunk.
Okay.
Am I not sounding right to you?
Who knows? Time for music. Westplex 107.1, Alicia Keys, The Underdog. Great song. Good morning to you, 6:23. It is BS in the morning. She is Brad. I am Shelley. Weather for today. It's going to be, some sun today, not a lot. Some sun mainly this morning. By about 11 o'clock this morning should be overcast, and then maybe a little bit of sun in the afternoon right before sunset. But it's supposed to be 58, so we're going to get about another 10 degrees on top of where we're at. Lots of stuff going on in the news, and most of it you don't want to know about. So we just won't talk about it. How's that?
That would be the whole show if you're watching the networks.
Oh, my God. One positive thing. Yesterday we talked about this on our afternoon show. Russ Faria, the guy who originally was actually convicted of murdering his wife in Lincoln County, spent 42 months in jail, finally got a retrial, was essentially acquitted. The lady that he said all along killed his wife. Then some years later, lured that poor Gumpenberger guy to her house, shot him while she was on the phone with the O'Fallon police dispatcher. How would you like to have been that police dispatcher? Man, has that got to be something you carry with you the rest of your life?
These people go through, people have no idea.
Well, I mean, I used to be on the other end of that phone. I mean, way back when I was, and I can remember, I can still to this day, and man, that's been a long time ago since I was a police dispatcher. I can still to this day remember some of the calls I got. I mean, like they happened yesterday, and it's one of those things, and not a lot of them, but still, I mean, situations that happened, and you're just like, man, I'll never forget. One night, I got a call from a guy, off-duty St. Louis County police officer, and long, complicated story. But he was calling from a payphone. Back in the day when I was a police dispatcher, there were no cell phones. There were car phones, but no cell phones. And he was calling from a payphone, and he found a woman, no respiration, no heartbeat, and his girlfriend. He was with his girlfriend at the time, and she was a nurse, and they resuscitated this woman and brought her back to life. And turned out that she was with some friends of hers. They were doing drugs. She overdosed. Her friends freaked out because she was having trouble breathing, so they just dumped her. Decided, like, we don't want to get in trouble because we're all taking drugs. And this couple came upon them, and he's calling me from a payphone, telling me where he's at, saying, please send an ambulance. Still remember that to this day. Isn't that bizarre?
No, it's not bizarre. They're... Maya Angelou, she always said, a person will forget what you said, a person will forget what you did, but a person will never forget how you made them feel. So
I can do a real good Maya Angelou. I do poetry like her. Uh-huh. You want to hear it?
Sure.
There was a dove, and the dove could fly, and the arch was there, and the river flew by. But that was because we were all insane. And that's because I'm a Dane.
Uh-huh. So...
like my Maya Angelou.
Did you practice that?
I've never understood her stuff. I mean, to the point where...
You don't get... A person can forget what you said.
No.
A person can forget what you did, but a person will never forget how you made them feel. That's how I live my life.
She said when she wasn't doing her... I don't
Maya
know.
Angelou stuff.
Well, to me, it's like, to me, poetry has like symmetry and a meter to it and, like repetition. Okay. And sometimes I hear, somebody say, hey, let me read you my new poem or my new poetry. And I'm going like, what the hell was that? It's just to the point where, with some of her stuff to me was like, I guess it's an acquired taste. Like, for example, people talk about, oh, my God, toasted ravioli. I mean, if you said to me, hey, Brad, we're going to give you a new Ford F-150 and $10,000 if you come down to the hill and eat some toasted ravioli. And I'd go like, I could use a new truck, but use the money, but no thanks. Not doing it. I mean, to me, I have no taste for that. And like me drinking beer, I have friends of mine that my dad didn't drink a lot, but he liked the, like the Guinness stout. He liked the German stuff,
Stag.
To me, if you said...
It's a fine Pilsner beer.
If you said, whatever the most expensive beer would be, and you could say, I'll give you a 6-pack of this world's most expensive beer or a 6-pack of Mountain Dew, and I'd say, give me the Mountain Dew.
Yeah, you're not a drinker.
No, because I get made fun of because of that.
I've never had anybody make fun of me because I was a drinker or not a drinker.
No. I have people all the time. I have, because, especially when, in my career in the radio business, geez Louise, I wasn't a drinker and I wasn't a druggie, and I got made fun of for that. I was one night... Never mind. I'm not going to tell that story. I'll get myself in trouble because a couple of those people are still alive. If they were all dead, I'd tell the story.
You should write a memoir.
No, hey, look, trust me.
I really do.
Trust me. It's stuff I saw back in the late 60s and early 70s. There was stuff that went on that it's like nowadays, people would be shocked. And, that was sort of our industry. It was crazy stuff. Did you ever see the movie? You need to go back and watch. Did you ever see the movie, what is it? The Cameron Crowe thing, Almost Famous. You ever see that movie?
I did.
Yeah. Okay. That was like early 70s. That was like, the movie was like late 60s, early 70s. I mean, that was mild. You know, the stuff that went on in that movie. That was mild. I saw bizarre, weird stuff, you know?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. Time for a break, 6:30. Westplex 107.1. My, oh my. Good morning to you. It's 6:38. This is BS in the Morning. She is Brad. I am Shelley. Website is bsinthemorning.show. Website for our radio station is westplex1071.com. It is a Tuesday morning. It is the last day of March, last day of first quarter. Tomorrow is April 1st. Man, it's one of my favorite days. One of my favorite days.
I think that April 1st is, oh my gosh, it's not the April 1st. Tomorrow's April 1st.
I said tomorrow's April 1st. Today was last day of March. That's what I said. Tomorrow's April 1st.
Oh, I didn't hear the first part. I was like, are you kidding? Is this a joke?
One of my favorite, yes. Today's April 1st, Shelley. Yes, today's April 1st. Yeah, it's April 1st.
You never know.
Yeah. And you know what?
What?
It's April 1st, and I don't know if did you hear the press conference that happened a half an hour ago?
No.
President Trump said that the virus is dead, and we're going to have a big national party today, and everybody's supposed to go out in the street and hug each other, just like they did after World War II.
You know, it's funny that you say that. I'm not saying that's going to happen now, but I think that when this coronavirus takes its toll, I think that people will be, they'll be grieving for the people that they lost. Because, you know, it's one thing to sit there and hear about this. It's another thing to sit there and have somebody you know actually have the virus.
Yeah, well, always when it impacts you directly, it always has more of an impact on you.
That is so true. No wonder it takes my husband years to fix something in the house. I will sit there and I will say, honey, the doorknob needs to be fixed. The doorknob needs to be fixed. It's locking me outside. You know, and I can sit there and whine and complain and wallow and stomp my heels, and it still doesn't get fixed. But the minute he's locked outside, that door is fixed like that.
Do you have a big hammer around your house? Do you have like a sledgehammer?
Why do you ask? You want me to sit there and bonk myself in the head with it?
No. If you want it fixed, just get the sledgehammer, just knock the doorknob right off the door, and then say, well, it needs to be fixed now.
I already tried that. It didn't work.
Oh, okay. Hey, weather's coming up by you-know-who. Who's our
Jennifer Wojcicki.
And that is coming up right now. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the Morning, 6:51. And it's going to be a sort of decent day. Going to have some sun, some clouds, depending on what time it is. This is BS in the Morning. I am Shelley. She is Brad. Our web address is bsinthemorning.show. Shelley is always the one that's like got the scoop on everything. What'd you think about Eric Greitens yesterday?
Okay, I didn't hear what you said. You cut out.
Oh, I said, what did you think about Eric Greitens yesterday?
I'm sure something happened, but I don't know what it is.
You got the scoop on everything.
Do I?
He was, my mom was somewhat of a cynic. And my mom used to always say...
No, she wasn't.
Oh, she was. She was a terrible cynic. She used to say one of her favorite things was, no good deed ever goes unpunished. And she always talked about how if you do something nice for people, that it'll always come back and kick you in the butt, you know. And so yesterday...
The law of unintended consequences.
Well, yesterday there was...
Oh, good for him. I just saw what he did.
What?
I'm sorry. I was talking about Greitens.
Well, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Is it about all the masks and the protection that he gave to...
Yeah, $80,000 worth of protective equipment, PPE, what they're calling now masks and things like that. And he is being roundly made fun of by the fact that he donated $80,000 worth of stuff. And I'm going like, now hold on a minute.
Why are they criticizing for that?
Well, because he's Eric Greitens, you know? I mean, you know, because they're saying well, he had a professional photographer there. He didn't take any questions. It was a staged photo opportunity. Like, yeah, right. Like, welcome to Politics 101. Do you think that anytime a politician, for the most part, does anything, it's not somehow or another that he's going to use it, he or she is going to use it for, well, look what I did for these people, and look what I did for them.
Everybody does.
I know. It's like...
Not everybody, but... most people do.
Yeah. By the way,
I think it's good for him that he just did that because we are crying for
well,
protective masks for our first responders.
if you go on Twitter, okay, and I mean sometimes social media brings out the worst in everybody. Like, for example,
So does the news.
I keep talking about my ex-boss, Joel Denver, who runs
Yeah.
a very influential online publication called All Access. And every single time I open up my Twitter account, there he is. Trump is nothing but a lying son of a you-know-what. And he should be, thrown out of... Right, he should be thrown out of office. And it's gotten to the point where, like, every time... And like, I mean, he does this like 10, 12 times a day. And it's gotten to the point where I reply to everything he says now. Joel, why don't you say something about, your publication, allaccess.com? Why don't you talk about all the radio people who are working 7 days a week and who are on the air extra hours and really trying to keep the public informed and trying to keep people positive? No, I got to talk about how Trump is just a liar and he's a terrible... Oh, okay, whatever. What good does that do? It's to the point where I have to read you this opinion piece that I saw this morning. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I give up. It's just to the point where I go to news sites to read news, not opinion. If I wanted an opinion, I'd go to an opinion site.
You'd call Frank.
Right. Anyway, he's getting criticized and made fun of, and he hired, there was a professional photographer there to take pictures of him. And you know what? I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people are making fun of him about.
What, he had a hair out of place?
No, you will never guess. If I gave you 1,000 guesses of what so many people are commenting about these pictures, you'd never guess.
He doesn't have nice socks?
No, it has to do with his clothing. Let me put it that way. Okay?
He didn't look very governish?
No, once again, you'd never guess because it's so ridiculous. They're commenting...
Okay, yeah, go with the ridiculous.
Okay,
so what is it?
They're commenting on his sleeves being rolled up.
Really? Well, that means that he's a working man.
Well, but that's what they're saying. They're saying that he purposely rolled his sleeves up. And one comment is, if you're going to roll up your sleeves that short, that high, just wear a short sleeve shirt. Well, but once again, the interesting thing about it is...
It doesn't give the same impact.
Well, his sleeves are perfectly rolled up, okay? They're not like just shoved up his sleeve, okay? And you know what? You know where that comes from, don't you?
Miami Vice?
No, his military background. That.
Oh, yeah. That's right. He was a Navy SEAL.
Right.
I know that you could have probably forgotten that right now.
And there were a lot of the long sleeve, whatever they are, the BDUs or whatever the uniforms that a lot of military have inside. Anybody who's in the military will know this, or anybody who's like in a police department would probably know this because of the uniform shirts. Inside, there's a strap. Do you know this? You know this about men's military shirts like this?
I don't know, but go ahead.
Okay, on the inside of the sleeve, there's a strap that's sewn on the inside of the sleeve, which has a buttonhole in it. And then there's a button.
And it is a little strap. And so what it does is it sits there and it's on the inside, and then you take it out.
Well, you roll your sleeve up to that point, and then you cuff the sleeve, and then you pull the strap out, and you pull the strap over the cuffed sleeve, and you put it through the buttonhole, and that's
a military thing?
Yes.
Oh, because I do that all the time.
Well, that's a military thing. I mean, that's the way the shirts are made like that. And once again, he's a Navy guy. It's always interesting to me that you see people that have a military background, and there's certain things that they do that you go like, why'd they do that? And then you go, oh, they're in the military, because it makes sense then. Because that's how they were taught. When you go through basic training in certain things. Now, some people, as they go through life, if they've been in the military, they rebel against that. But, like your son-in-law, I bet you there's stuff he does because of the fact that, his military background. Because that's the way he was trained. That's what you do. That's how you do it.
That's exactly correct.
Yeah. Well, it's what, and look, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a good thing. I saw my father with that. Certain things that my father would do. I mean, like, for example, something that's sort of gone from the military is like, the old spit shining of boots, because nobody really wears,
Yes.
nobody
I
wears
was thinking about that the other day.
yeah, because everybody's wearing the different kind of boots now. They're wearing the old ones were finished leather, and most of the military boots now are what they call unfinished leather. They have like the suede kind of,
Right.
and you can't shine them, because if you shine them, you took the suede off of them, and then you'd ruin them. But anyway, why are we talking about that? Hey, 6:59, we got to take some break here. We'll be back. Westplex 107.1. What a beautiful voice she has. Good morning to you. It's 7:10. It is BS in the Morning. I am S. She is B. Our website is bsinthemorning.show. The website for the radio station is westplex1071.com. Yesterday, it's gotten to the point, Shelley, where if I guess there's this shaming thing that's going on, that if I say, yesterday when I was out driving around, people will say, like, what's he doing driving around? He shouldn't be driving around. He should be staying home. He shouldn't be going anywhere. But, once again, there are things that you and I have to do as, quote unquote, essential workers, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much true. Yes.
So yesterday I had to go take care of a thing where I had to go sign a document. Won't go into what the document was for, but I had to go sign a document, and it was something that had to be done yesterday. Okay. So I'm in St. Peter's, and I get done signing the document, and I'm coming north on Mid Rivers Mall Drive, and I'm driving along at the speed limit, coming up toward Mid Rivers Mall, and I just cross over Mexico, and a car passes me. I'm in the right lane. Mexico's 4 lanes, 2 north, 2 south. I'm in the right lane doing the speed limit, and a car goes flying by me at probably about 15, 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, then puts on the right turn signal, pulls right in front of me, and turns into a shopping center where there's a little coffee kiosk.
Okay.
It was you. You cut me off yesterday.
I did not.
Honest to God. I'm telling you, I'm driving along Mid Rivers Mall Drive. You flew past me in the left lane, and you pulled right in front of me, and you made a right turn in front of me into, what's the coffee place there that you used to advertise with us? Scooters. You went, and I thought to myself, that looks like Shelley. And when I come up closer, I saw the license plate. That is Shelley. And I didn't say a word. I didn't text you. I didn't do anything.
You really didn't. And I don't think that I did that.
You absolutely.
I try to be very conscientious when I drive.
Absolutely, positively flew by me on the left lane, pulled in front of me, turned on the turn signal, and then went into there. I'm thinking to myself, and at the time it happened before I knew it was you, I thought to myself, okay, why would somebody pass me on the left to make a right turn in front of me? Why wouldn't they have just come behind me? Because they're going to have to start, decelerating anyway to turn into that shopping center. Why wouldn't they have done that? But I thought, oh, it's Shelley.
Probably because you were doing 30.
I think the Shelley, I was doing the speed limit, which is like right along there, 35 or 40,
It's 45.
No, it's not right there. I guarantee it's not 45 in that stretch of Mid Rivers Mall Drive.
Well, I'm sorry that I passed you.
Oh, you cut me off.
And I'm sorry that I cut you off.
See, you're just oblivious to this. I mean, how many times that, you say, oh, you drive too slow.
I check all of my corners. I check my mirrors, all 3 sets. I even, look behind, even though it doesn't really matter because I've got a blind spot. But
I think your mirrors need to be realigned. Are you sure you're not looking at like your makeup mirror? I checked my 3 mirrors. There was the one on my left hand, the one on the steering wheel, and the one on my right hand. I checked all 3 mirrors.
No. I checked the 2 side mirrors were on the exterior
I'm
of the
thinking
car.
to myself, then
I checked my middle mirror.
She always talks about how I drive so slow. I'm doing the speed limit. She passes me on the left, pulls in front of me, makes a right turn. But at least you use your traffic, your turn signal. I'll give you that. So, that so much. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I know where she's going. She's going to get her triple duple latte or whatever the heck you get.
Frosty beverage.
Whatever. Yes. Okay. So yes. So you cut me off yesterday. And the crazy thing.
I am so sorry.
The crazy thing about it is it's not like the roads are jammed. I mean, there's nobody out and about. thank heaven for the guys working on the I-70 bridge because of the fact that, there's not much traffic there. And those guys are out there humping it every day. Thank you so much for you construction workers who are still doing your job and the repair guys out there on the road crews and things like that. Matter of fact, I bet you any money the MoDOT guys are probably really happy about the very reduced traffic on the roads because this is the time of the year when they got to be out and they're repairing a lot of the damage that was caused by the winter, freeze-thaw cycle. A lot of the potholes, a lot of the expansion joints. That's what they're doing on the Blanchette Bridge. They're putting all new expansion joints in, and they're doing a lot of repair work there. And I'm going like, yes, maybe there is some bright side to this whole crazy shutdown. Yesterday we talked to Mike Elam. He's a St. Charles County Council person, and besides that, he's an ex-media guy, and we got to keep him on the air because we just got to keep that media stuff flowing through his veins.
He's the voice of St. Charles,
right? And he was talking about, for the most part, St. Charles County parks are pretty much business as usual. There's a couple areas within some of the parks that they've closed off, but for the most part, you can go to like Klondike Park or anything like that, and you can just do your thing. You can walk around, and a lot of walking trails. This morning, I heard that the city is closing quite a few parks to vehicular traffic, so you can't even drive in the parks anymore. Including,
I know this is the county, but I wonder if they're going to do that with Antler Park.
I don't know, including some parts of Forest Park. So they've actually got it to the point where they're, and I have to ask you a question. Do you understand that? Do you understand why you can't even, drive? Are they afraid like you're going to drive through the park and roll your window down and sneeze out the window or something like that? I don't get that. If you're in your car, for the most part, unless you pull up next to somebody, you're pretty much keeping your social distance from anybody, aren't you? Like if you figure that in most cars you got, pretty much 6 feet of sheet metal in front of you and at least 6 feet of sheet metal in back of you, unless you're driving a smart car or something like that, and if you're in the driver's seat, you probably got, 4 feet on, to the right side of you because, most cars are probably about 4 to 5 feet wide. So, does that make any sense to you at all?
It does.
Why? For them to close the streets and the parks? It makes sense?
Well, hopefully they can get some stuff done that they need to get done and out.
That's not the reason they're closing the streets. They're closing the streets because of the pandemic thing. To me, it's things like this. You go like, okay, explain that to me. It's like, I get it. We're not supposed to be, hanging around, and just like, it's just like the situation with, they're talking about closing a lot of the state parks because the governor said there were people congregating in the parks over the weekend. Well,
not maintaining social medium safe distance.
I have to tell you, If there were a rocket ship that were ready to be, if what's his face from Virgin, who I'm talking about, Virgin Airlines, Virgin Records, what's his name? The blonde-headed dude.
I don't know, Mr. Virgin?
No, the blonde-headed dude from England who's Richard Branson, okay? If Richard Branson called me up and said, hey, Brad, I need somebody to test my new rocket ship that's going to take people into outer space. And I go, dude, where do I need to go? Can I go today? Blast me out of this, shoot me out into the atmosphere, put me on the moon. I'm ready to go.
Actually, me too.
Yeah, it's just to the point where it's like, man, here it is, the end of this month, another month, another 2 months. It's like, and I have to tell you, people have been pretty good. That worries me.
We're going to see the best of humanity and the worst of humanity before this is all over.
See, you see it right here on this radio show. You hear the best of the humanity, that's Shelley. You hear the worst of the humanity, that's me. So,
Brad, seriously, don't do that.
It's right here in this radio show. Right here in this radio show.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Here. And I have to tell you, I think people like this aren't helping. Let me see if I can find this. And I try to be, really fairly well informed. I try to look at both sides of the picture. And on a daily basis, I read Fox News, I read CNN. Okay, and I bet you I can't find
Snooze.
it now. And there's all these opinion pieces on CNN News. And the one, okay, here we go. Here. This is the first paragraph on an opinion piece on CNN. No, I can't find it. This isn't the one. The whole. I mean, and it all it does is just like it's like, you know. See, there was for those of people who are historians, they knew something different about World War II, and essentially in World War II, the press, shall we say, sort of, you don't know what would be the proper word, not put it in a proper thing. The press sort of went along with what the government told them to do, for the most part. And if the government said, we need to have a positive spin on this is in World War II, the press pretty much did it. And the press didn't ask a lot of questions. And they printed pretty much what they were told, okay? Some historians, and like when I took my journalism classes, some historians said this was a tremendous failure of the press, that they didn't, publish all the terrible things that were happening during World War II and all the sailors who were, killed when they were torpedoed and things like that. And they didn't cover that. And instead what they covered was the fact that we took this beach and we took this island and this raid was successful, but they didn't, put the negative stuff in there. Okay, so now the press has done like a 180 where all you read is negative stuff. And it's to the point where to me it's like, I'm embarrassed to, sort of at one point in time, be called a journalist. I mean, to the point where to me it's like, I get it. There's bad stuff that happens, but does that have to be everything you report about? Is that all of it is?
That's what sells.
Well, I don't...
It's like sex. That's what sells.
Well, maybe they need to, well, I won't say that. I'll get myself in trouble. Okay, hey, it's 7:21. Time for a break, and we will be...
back.
Westplex 107.1, Can We Be Friends? 7:30. It is BS in the Morning. I am Brad. She is Shelley. Did I get that right? Are you Shelley or am I Brad? One of those two.
You know what? Every single day it's a different thing.
Yes,
so
it
we
changes.
just kind of go with the flow.
If
that's how we roll.
If I really want to make sure, I just look at the website and then bsinthemorning.show, and then it totally, hold on a minute. Jeez
God
Louise.
bless you.
There go my stupid allergies again. If I don't need anything, when things get green.
Take a Zyrtec. Crying out loud, Brad.
That doesn't do anything for me. It makes me sleep.
Well,
what?
then
Maybe that's a
take
good
a
thing.
Allegra.
I'm just going to go back to sleep. No.
Or you could do that. Someone needs a nap, clearly.
No. We have to talk to Lindsay Travis, who is on the phone with us right now. Good morning, Lindsay. How you doing?
Yay. Hi, Lindsay.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine. Now, you run a company called Best Teacher Supply, correct?
Correct.
Now, is this a bad time to be running a company where you're dealing with teachers? Because a lot of them aren't working right now.
Well, shockingly, it normally would be, but since our parents are homeschooling now, we have a lot of parents that are coming in to get resources to help keep their kids active during this time and continue their education.
Wow, I'm glad to hear that. Now, so in other words, it's not just for teachers. Anybody can come in and buy a lot of things you have.
Correct. Yes, we have lots of activities, lots of games, manipulatives, just different activities, puzzles, just fun activities that keep the kids busy.
Okay, you got my attention. What is a manipulative?
So it's like little things that help with, let's say, math. So we have dice or flashcards or different things that you can use to teach math.
And how do you teach math with dice?
So we have different types of dice. We have regular dice, so you can roll the dice and have the kids add it up or subtract it. Different techniques like that. We also have different types of dice that go up to 12, so that helps with the younger ages learning addition and subtraction, 0 through 12.
So, Lindsay, what you're telling me, I mean, this is a shocking fact. What you're telling me is you make learning fun?
Yes, definitely.
Wow. I don't think, in my day, we had flashcards, but we never had dice. Now,
right.
As far as books and things like that, are you selling, like the actual textbooks? Are you selling books that people can find out more information on topics that maybe they learned about in school, or what type of things like that?
Yes, so we sell what's called resource books and activity books. So, the books that you see in the summertime to keep the kids still actively learning. We have those books, and we also have the resource books that give more information on different subjects for the students and parents to use during this time.
Now, how did you get into running this store? Are you a teacher yourself?
I am not a teacher. I grew up, my whole family are teachers from every different level, and I was actually a preschool owner previously in Wentzville, and the previous owner of this teacher's supply store, she was selling it, and my mom brought it up to me, and here we are today.
I'll be darned. Now, give us a location.
So the location is 123 O'Fallon Plaza, and that is just about a mile north of 70 on Highway M.
And if people don't know, exactly where that's at, you get off Highway 70, you go north, and where the Sonic is, you turn into the shopping center there.
Correct.
Yes. And on a typical day, what kind of, people are coming into the store, and what's probably right now the most common thing that people are looking for?
So right now, we have parents and grandparents that are coming in mostly right now. And they are looking for, a lot of the homeschooling are telling the parents they need flashcards and dice for their math. So we do sell a lot of math, and then we sell a lot of resource books right now as for reading and math.
Now, and I would imagine since most of the schools are shut down right now, is business really picking up for you then?
So it actually is picking up over these last couple weeks. We're just trying to be there and support the parents and help guide them on different resources they can use to help homeschool.
We're talking with Lindsay Travis from Best Teacher Supply. It's in O'Fallon, and she is. How long have you been doing this now? Since you've owned the store?
So I've owned it for just over a year.
Wow. And is it to the point where are like you excited about the fact that how the progress is made since you've owned the store? Yes. We've
done a lot of changes inside the store and brought in a lot of new products that we feel are fun and exciting to help, teachers decorate their classrooms, but then also parents and grandparents to use with their children and grandchildren. Interesting.
It's one of those things where, and here's the other goofy question. Do you do any kind of software at all? Any kind of educational software?
We do not. No, we do not have any software.
Just all, physical materials and books and things like that, games?
Yes.
What's the most popular game you're selling right now?
So we have a few games that we're selling really well right now. There is Tenzi, which is a dice game for families. It's kind of like Yahtzee, but a little bit different, and it has fun, colorful dice. And then we're also selling a lot of our brain teasers, because those tend to keep children busy a little bit longer. And then another fun game called Rush Hour that is strategic in patterning and, basically another brain teaser for kids, and we have a younger version. So that's a big seller right now, too.
Well, if you parents out there have kids at home and they're driving you crazy and you need to keep them occupied, or maybe more importantly, get them a little bit more education, get their learning curve further up that curve, this is the lady, Lindsay Travis from Best Teacher Supply. Give me your location again and website, and how about a phone number?
Okay. We are at 123 O'Fallon Plaza, and that's in O'Fallon, Missouri. And our phone number is 636-978-0222. We are taking phone orders. Our hours have changed right now. We're currently Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we are doing free curbside, and we're doing free doorstep in the O'Fallon area, as well as online orders with delivery. And the website is www.bestteachersupply.com.
And you don't, obviously what you're saying is people don't have to come into the store. They can either buy it online or they can call you on the phone and you can ship it out to them.
Yep. And a lot of people are calling on the phone because they're looking for some of our advice on what will work, with what they're trying to continue with their children. So that's been good.
Do you mean tell me that people still call each other on the phone?
Right. Yes.
It's not just texting.
Right.
Do you mean if they call your number, you'll actually answer the phone and talk to them?
We will. It's amazing.
Gosh, what a novel concept that
Right.
is. Lindsay, thank you so much. Appreciate what you're doing. And I think, what's sort of interesting about this is that there's so many negative things you hear about, oh, this is closed and that's closed. But this is a perfect example of you're in a situation where, people can make the best of a bad situation by not having their kids go to school. You can help them at home, right?
Right. Yes. And we are very happy that we are here, for the parents. And we think that we're kind of essential at this point with assisting them with supplies for homeschooling and continuing their kids' education. And I appreciate you guys for having me today.
Hey, no problem. No problem. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think what you're doing is great. And, I'm more power to you. And we'll do what we can to keep people coming to your door and calling you on the phone and ordering stuff online. A website one more time. Give that web address.
Is www.bestteachersupply.com.
Bestteachersupply.com. Just like the name of the store.
Yep.
Got
correct.
it. Lindsay, thank you so much. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys.
Bye-bye. Is she good or what?
She's 5 doinks.
Oh, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Shelly's getting into this. What? No, say again now.
She's 5 doinks. Doink, 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 doink.
If you don't know what we're doing, this is the Shelly rating system.
We're acting crazy.
Right.
It was all Brad's idea, just so you know.
If you do,
you were fabulous, Lindsay.
Shelly doesn't do it with stars. Shelly does it with doinks. If you really sort of stink, you get 1 doink.
Doink.
But if you knocked it out of the park,
doink, 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 doink.
And Lindsay knocked it out of the park. I have to tell you, what I have to be a little bit careful about is maybe I'm trying to be, the whole, because I am so tired of people, because I get this on a daily basis now. I can't believe you talked about her store because of the fact that people have to get in their car and go there. No, they don't have to. You can call her on the phone. You can order. You get what I'm saying? People are getting so weird about this.
They are getting weird.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
I think it's only going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, I mean, it's to the point where we can barricade ourselves into our houses and never come out again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or we can essentially say, look, there's some things, and I think it was interesting. She said that they have a lot of grandparents that are buying stuff from her. I think that's cool. I mean, my parents bought stuff for my kids. Especially my mother, who was a teacher. Who tried to help my kids, but they were beyond help. No, actually, I shouldn't say that, should I?
If you want to get more feedback like you did the other day, just keep on keeping on.
Whoa, like what? What now?
Why are they late?
What was that again?
Why are they late?
Stop it.
Why are they late?
Brad. Stop it. I'm serious.
Hello. I'm at work and I let you go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're such a man child. The smallest things, you get the most joy out of the smallest things.
It doesn't take much.
What does the fox say?
It doesn't take
There
much.
are people. Who was I with? I was talking to someone, and they said, I was in Westplex 107.1, and they asked me a question. I was like, and they're like, every time I hear you say that just makes me think of the radio.
So,
and then another person said to me that that I had to what was that? That it's almost like when I do my Facebook lives, I have taught myself in my head to do the intro and draw back to and punt. Yes.
Oh, of course. And there's the classic one.
I don't think that we should be called cougars anymore. I think we should be called panthers.
And then one morning, when I turned on the microphone for Shelley, and I go, Shelley, you don't sound well this morning. What's wrong? And she said,
I got bronchitis.
Goodness.
I have to tell you, times have been trying for me, okay?
I know they have, honey.
How do I get myself in a better mood? I go on the YouTube and I watch the news bloopers, and some of them are so incredibly funny. I mean, and what's amazing is the one that keeps coming up all the time. These are like news bloopers from all over the world, like, news shows and things like that. But the one I saw probably in the last couple of days, I've probably seen 4 or 5 times on 4 or 5 different blooper reels, okay? The one right here in St. Louis with Tim Ezell. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know which one you're talking about, no.
Oh, my God.
I know Tim Ezell is.
This is so funny.
He's a doll.
This is so funny. He's doing some kind of an interview, and the camera's on him. It's like a headshot of him, and he's going like, okay, thank you very much. And now we're going to, for the latest the news update, we're going to check in with the Hamburglar. And I don't know what the woman's name is, but then, they see the shot of her, and she's got this shirt on that looks just like the Hamburglar shirt. Remember the Hamburglar? They don't have those guys anymore. They got rid of them. But
wasn't he like like my Three Musketeers? Doesn't he have that kind of garb on?
Well, he looks like a criminal. He's the Hamburglar. Because he steals hamburgers.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
He's in the black and white.
Right. And she's got a black and white striped shirt on, and she looks at him, to the right where he's sitting, and then she says something about like, "I'll get you back." It was so funny because
when you least expect it, expect it.
Watch your back, because when you think nothing's going to happen, that's when I'm going to get you back. But oh my God, there's some classic ones on there, and there's the one the guy says, they're doing this shot where he's introducing the meteorologist, and he says to her, he says, and I can't remember her name. His name's like Avril or something like that. Hey, let's check in with Avril, and they've got like a 2 box, you know what I mean? Like, where there's, one, the camera's on the left box and the right box. You know what I'm talking about. And he's on one side, and he's like, hey, well, it's going to be a nice day today, and let's check in with Avril, and it's going to be so nice. So, hey, how about you and I go out and do some canoodling? And she looks and she goes, what? And apparently the producer is talking to him in his earpiece, going like, no, you can't, that's not, and then he goes like, oh, and then she goes, no, I'm not doing any of that. And he goes, oh my God, the producer just told me what the true meaning of the word canoodling meant. He says, I thought it would be like we're going to have a nice conversation. And then she says, what's funny, they go back and forth a couple more times, and she says, congratulations, you've just made the blooper reel.
What is canoodling?
You don't know what canoodling is?
I don't.
Okay, here we go. You don't know what canoodling is, K-A.
No, but I can. Do I need to Wikipedia it?
The canoodling, okay, with the definition. Okay, let's go to the Urban Dictionary. Here we go. The gross behaviors of a new couple, the overtly lovey-dovey actions that sicken everyone not in that relationship, usually in the form of cuddling and unnecessarily giggling as a result of public tickling. So, here's we won't need to read that one on the air. Any physical romantic contact between couples that isn't necessarily kissing.
So that's the definition that you're going with?
No, hold on. Let's see if I can find a canoodle. This is dictionary.com. Canoodle definition: to caress, fondle, or pet amorously. So, in other words, he's saying he's going to canoodle with her, and she's going like, and it was funny because her hand, she does like the no. She does like the two hands going in opposite direction, like
Yeah. Yeah.
out of the question. Not doing that. It's pretty funny. Anyway, that's how I spend my nights, watching Goofy.
Getting ready for the talk show the next day.
Yes, taking my notes. 7:48. Westplex 107.1. Happy morning to you. 7:58. It is BS in the morning. She is Shelley, and I am the small wire nail with a small and often symmetrical head. That is me.
That was so funny.
That is me. What did he say? Yes, I am the small wire nail with a small and often asymmetrical head. That is who I am. Okay. All sorts of crazy stuff going on in the world because of the virus and stuff like that. Have you heard about this cruise ship that nobody will let come to port? Have you heard of this?
I thought that they were all back.
No, this is another cruise ship that, unfortunately, this has really been hit hard. I think there's 4 people have already died on this cruise ship. And
that's a shame.
They're trying to, I think that the record, or no, I think not the record, but the situation now is these people on this boat on this cruise ship have not been on land for over 2 weeks. I think it's like 15 or 16 days now. And they're trying to negotiate a port where the people can disembark, and they've tried to pick a couple ports in Florida, and the governor says, nope, we don't want that ship, because they don't want any more people coming into Florida. And there's quite a few people on the ship who are confirmed with the C-19 virus. So, there are a lot of industries that are going to take it in the shorts with this, the whole thing that's going on right now with the virus and the whole bit. But man, I can't think of an industry that's going to have a tougher way back to, any kind of
any type of normalcy.
Yeah, I mean, the cruise industry has just gotten kicked in the groin on this one. And no fault of their own. It's not like, their ships had leaks in them and they sunk, or, they were out at sea and the engines cut out, or, they ran out of food. I mean, this is just stuff. I mean, you know what this is called?
I do not.
Force majeure.
Excuse me?
Force majeure.
Is that like against your wishes?
That is a legal term, and if you read very many contracts, it's almost like in any kind of a contract. And essentially what it comes down to is it has to do with the fact that, let me see, the unforeseeable circumstances that prevent someone from fulfilling a contract. And the idea behind force majeure, or I guess that's how it's majeure. The pronunciation is, it's just like force, F-O-R-C-E, that's how it's spelled, but it's M-A-J-E-U-R-E. M-A-J-E-U-R-E. And it is in most legal contracts. And what's interesting is there are so many things right now that people have contracts, well, I have a contract with you. And because of that particular clause in the contracts, with the situation we have on right now, there's no liability. So in other words, if you had a contract with, let's say you were a restaurant and you had a contract with a restaurant supply company, and they said, hey, sorry, we know we've got a contract. We're supposed to deliver X amount of meat to you each week. We're not doing it. And you would say, well, I have a contract with you. And they would say, hey, too bad, force majeure. The idea being
is it like eminent domain?
No, it's not like eminent domain. It's
pretty much taking away your freedoms.
Well, no. In other words, what
sake of the betterment of society.
No, what it comes down to is, it comes down to the fact that it's essentially it's like an act of nature.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and a legal term translates literally as superior strength and refers to unforeseen calamities. Here, let me read the whole thing. This is it. Difficult. Anyway, talks about the fact that that's in most contracts because, and like for example, you hear the situations that a lot of businesses have what they call business interruption insurance. So in other words, like if something would happen, that the insurance company would, for example, like let's say you had a restaurant and let's say the roof collapsed, okay, and you had a clause in your insurance policy that stated that that A, they would fix the roof, but B, they would pay you for the fact that you were closed for a month, okay? But under the force majeure clause, then essentially that wouldn't be valid. So in other words, right now, all these people who are out of business, their companies are shut down because of the virus, essentially, it's not covered. So in other words, they're out of luck. It's an act of God. It's something that is unforeseen, and that's the whole problem.
I wonder if that's true with business liability.
I don't know about liability. I mean, but there's a lot of things where it's like I said, it's almost in every single contract you read. I mean, if it's just one of those things. It's like, it's like you throw it in because of the fact that you never know what's going to happen. And perfect example. It's times like this. Who the heck knows? Yes. Hey,
who the heck would ever dream that we'd be in the middle of a pandemic?
Yep. Got to take a break. 8:03.
Okay.
Westplex 107.1. Delicate. 8:13. Good morning. It is BS in the morning. I am Shelley, and she is that small wire-headed, asymmetrical-headed fastener. Isn't that what it is? Something like that.
Something like that. But I'll take you whichever way.
Okay. Moment of seriousness. If you're looking for a job, and what I'm going to say is some people may say, not my kind of job. Got it. Other people may say, that's my kind of job. We have a new client on the radio station, on both radio stations, and it is a company called Metro Shooting Supplies. And what they do is they have actually two locations, one in Bridgeton, one in Belleville. They're looking for people to work either as retail sales to sell guns and ammunition or as a range safety officer. The location in Bridgeton, which I've been in before, very nice place, right on the Rock Road, just a little bit west of Lindbergh. If you remember where the old Feld Chevrolet used to be, it's now a, selling lawn equipment there. Can't remember the guy's name. Scott's, I believe. Anyway, down the street on the south side of the Rock Road is Metro Shooting Supplies. They are looking for people to work in the store doing retail sales for guns and ammunition, and then downstairs where the shooting range is to be a range officer. They are looking for people immediately. If you would like to apply for this job, you can go online, fill out the application. The web address is buylearnshoot.com. 3 different words, buy, which is B-U-Y, not buy, B-Y. B-U-Y, buylearnshoot.com. When you get to that page or get to that website, click on the careers link. It'll, if you have on your phone, it'll be the pull-down menu. If you're on a regular desktop, it should be right at the top of the page there. Find careers, click on that, and at the bottom, you can just click on it, and the application is right there. They're looking for immediate help. And some people may say, well, they're open. Yes, they're open, and they're doing great business. Now, some people...
And that's Buy, Learn, Shoot?
Buylearnshoot.com. B-U-Y. I mean, all together. You just stick it all together. But it's 3 different... essentially what they're doing is it's sort of the motto of the store. Buy a gun there. Learn how to, the safety and the handling of a firearm. And then shoot, because you can buy it there. They'll teach you there. And you can shoot it there in the shooting range. Buylearnshoot.com. And I know that some people, when you talk about guns, you get the polarization of people. Some people, oh my God, guns are terrible. They should be all taken away. And then the other side of the equation is, we've got our Second Amendment rights. Everybody should have a gun, or should have more than one gun. Okay? And what's happened is, if you know the story, the reason they're looking for people is business is bonkers. They have people, almost, I don't want to say every day, but people in line to buy guns and ammo. So, once again...
What positions do they have?
Sales and a range safety officer. If you know what the range safety officer is, he's the guy or gal, could be either man or woman, who essentially supervises the shooting range and makes sure that everyone is properly doing what they should be doing, not doing muzzle sweeps across the entire place. You know what a muzzle sweep is?
I do not.
A muzzle sweep is if I took a gun and I started just waving it around in front of people, that's a muzzle sweep. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to, if you're in a range, the gun should always be pointed downrange, and that's what the safety officer does. He essentially makes sure everybody is in compliance with the rules of the range, and if you're not, he's the guy or gal that gives you the boot. and justifiably so. If you're not going to conduct yourself properly at a shooting range, you shouldn't be there. And most shooting ranges have zero tolerance and that kind of stuff. If you're goofing around, you're out of there. So
that's one of the things that I have a problem with guns is, Tiffany and Company has come out with a teal one.
Yeah.
And that kind of upsets me because this is not a toy.
Well, I agree with you, and that got to be sort of the thing for a while. That if you'd go, matter of fact, I went someplace with my daughter one time at a shooting range, and they had like a pink gun. Oh my God, that's the gun I'd want. And I said the same thing. No, you don't want that gun because that looks like kids would play with that. But for a while. There are certain guns that, and Smith & Wesson was probably the first one. They used to have a revolver which was called the Lady Smith, and it was the grip on it was specifically smaller for women's smaller hands.
Was it a little baby gun? Like
No, it was a
5 inches.
No, it was a .38 Special. It was like what they call
okay.
a snub nose. Small revolver. It wasn't like a little tiny baby gun, but it was a snub nose, and it had. It's sort of fancy. It had very expensive wood grips, if I'm not mistaken. It was like rosewood or something like that. And it had the grips on it had a little bit of a pinkish tinge to it, So, and that was the Lady Smith, and it was designed. And the problem, and to be totally, honest with you, that, and I know I'm going to get myself in trouble because a woman is going to say, I can't believe he said that. There are certain guns that are too powerful for women. And if I say this, people are going to think I'm making this up, but there is a term in firearms, with pistols called limp wristing. Okay? And I know people are going to go like...
I've heard of that.
Yeah. People are going to go like, he's making this up.
No name.
Yeah. People are going to say this is BS, but it's not. And here's the problem. With a semi-automatic gun, in other words, you pull the trigger, it fires the round, the slide on top of the gun goes backwards, ejects the cartridge, and then it goes forward because there's a spring that brings it back forward. It strips off a cartridge from the magazine and puts another gun in, or another bullet in the chamber, and gets ready to fire. If you don't hold that gun tightly, the gun will not eject. Well, it usually will eject the cartridge, but it won't necessarily load the next cartridge, and the gun will jam. And there are women that have this problem because they don't have and I know, once again, people are going to go like, yeah, I can't believe he's saying that. And to a certain extent, there are some men that don't use proper technique, but typically this is a situation, and if you don't believe me, call anybody up. Matter of fact, call the guys at Metro Shooting Supply and ask them about limp wristing, and they'll tell you the whole story. And for some women, a semi-automatic gun is not the best gun. A revolver is the best gun because of the fact that now the downside is the revolver has more kickback. It has more, when you fire it, the gun, you're going to feel more of that gun, pushing back on your hand because of the fact that there's no, within a semi-automatic gun, the slide is taking up some of that inertia. So in other words, it's, the old, law of physics. For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. So the bullet goes forward and the gun goes backward. And the more recoil you have, the harder it is to control the gun. And once again, women don't necessarily have the wrist strength. And, once again, not all women, but typically you find, and even with some men who are of a smaller stature, they don't have the rigidity in their wrist to be able to control the gun properly, and therefore it doesn't operate properly. So they're better off with a revolver. But anyway, buylearnshoot.com. Check it out. I'm going to get myself...
You could be a good gun master.
No, but see, what's crazy about that is, nowadays you have to be so politically correct. And I know there's somebody listening right now is going like, I can't believe he's making those comments about women not being... trust me. I've seen it happen to the point where, and I know I have a couple friends of mine that used to, be in the gun business. Matter of fact, my son used to do this. My oldest son worked at a gun shop, and he actually, helped. There was a guy that owned the gun shop, and this guy was he was an MP in the military, and he had all these certifications, and he actually taught other police officers how to shoot. He was an instructor, and my son would go with him and help train civilians. They had civilian classes, this guy did, through the gun shop, and my son told the story too, but they had some women that had a real problem with this. And, some people could say, well, the guns were designed by men. Yes, they were. I don't think there are too many gun designers out there. I mean, all the big gun designs that were done, in the last 100 years, probably 95% of them were done by men, maybe even 98%. And some would say, well, that's why they don't work well for women. Yeah, could be. But that's just a fact of the matter. And it's one of those things where if you are in a position where you unfortunately have to use your weapon to defend yourself, you don't want it to jam. And that's why it's critical that you learn the proper technique. And once again, if you don't have the proper wrist strength, you may not be a candidate for a semi-automatic. It may be better for you to have a revolver. Yeah, one of those things.
And I think that this is required for everyone that purchases a gun.
Well, you would think,
I absolutely do. And I also think they need to bring back the concealed carry.
Shelley, you and I agree with that because of the fact that I am like a laissez-faire kind of guy. I mean, the government governs least governs best. But by the same token, I don't want somebody who all of a sudden turns 16 and says, hey, I'm 16. I don't need a driver's license anymore because the state doesn't say I have to have a driver's license. I'm just going to get in my car and drive. And that's the same thing with firearms. And the reason I say that is once upon a time, you had to carry concealed weapon. You had to get the concealed carry permit, which means you had to take the course. And in Illinois, you still do. Illinois is the toughest course in the country. Did you know that? It's 16 hours. Missouri course you can still take the Missouri course. It's 8 hours. But the Illinois course is 16 hours. And a lot of classroom, a lot of shooting and stuff like that. But I still recommend it. I couldn't agree with you more. If you've never handled a gun before, you're going to buy one, don't just go buy it. And this is what's sort of cool about Metro Shooting Supplies. Buy, learn, shoot. That's what their motto is. You can buy the gun there. They will teach you how to shoot it. And then you can shoot it right there in their range and you can practice.
I agree. I agree with everything.
So if you're looking for a job, you got laid off.
Yeah, I actually just texted my monster baby, my bonus child.
Yeah. Did he get laid off?
He did.
Okay. Well, to the point where, especially if you're military, because most military people have had, for sure, rifles. Some of them, they're officers. They've been trained on pistols. But if you are military, this is the kind of person they're looking for. Or if you're law enforcement and you're looking for a part-time gig, this is the job. BuyLearnShoot.com. Check it out. And, you could be working there very soon. By the way, they are looking for management people as well, too. So if you want to work your way up through the ranks, you can do that as well, too. 825. I screwed up. I'm sorry. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the Morning. Who's calling me now? Come on. Come on. It is BS in the Morning. It is 8:28. Thank you very much, Master Clock, for the fine Master Clock we have here in our studio, which is made right in St. Charles. Do you know that? They make the stuff right there.
I do.
Oh, yeah.
I did know that, actually.
Yep. Locally made and used throughout the world. So who says the United States doesn't produce stuff anymore? It's produced right here in St. Charles. It is BS in the Morning. You can check out our website at bsinthemorning.show. That is for Shelley and I. And the website for the station is westplex1071.com. Lots of people every day. There's more and more traffic to a couple of our news sites. Westplex News. That's westplex.news. Stuff comes up there from St. Charles County, St. Charles City, a lot of different sources, articles that we write ourselves. Also, westplex.video. There's some videos on there from some of our clients, but now more importantly, we're pulling all sorts of videos from St. Charles TV, O'Fallon TV, the TV stations, latest news, a lot of updates coming on there. Our job is to keep you informed. There's tons of things happening. The situation changes dynamically minute by minute. We talked about this earlier this morning, that the city of St. Louis has now closed a number of parks to vehicles, and they're actually closing some of the roads in Forest Park. I scratched my head on that, but the smartest woman in the world texted back at me saying that the reason for that is that people were congregating in the park. So if you can't drive your car in the park, chances are you won't congregate in the park. So I don't know. Some crazy stuff going on. And by the way, the smartest woman in the world also left me this information. I was talking about the situation with the cruise ships, which are essentially not being allowed into port. These are the Holland America Cruise Lines and the MS Zaandam and the MS Rotterdam. And the Rotterdam was sent supplies, and to separate passengers, they actually took some of the well passengers off of one ship and put them on the other ship. But the problem with the one ship is they're trying to get it into port, and none of these cities in Florida or on the East Coast will accept the ship. So they're trying to debate where the ship's going to go. Isn't that sad?
It really is sad, and I can't even imagine what those passengers are going through.
Well, you know,
it's not funny, haha. It's funny, interesting, actually, that how many people do you think are on a cruise ship?
I don't know. Some of these newer cruise ships, it's thousands of people. I mean, it's huge.
If they, and I'm sorry for the people that have lost their lives to this coronavirus, but in perspective, the amount of people that were on those ships and the amount of people that have lost their lives are not even comparable.
What do you mean?
Because there's so many people on the ship.
Oh, I know. Well, but see, the sad part of this is, and God, how do I put this and not sound like a terrible person? That there are people that die on cruise ships all the time. I mean, it's not like,
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, think about it. I mean, and once again, this sounds cold and heartless, but it's statistics. That if you have a group of 10,000 people, randomly select out 10,000 people, X amount of those people are going to get sick with some disease. X amount of those people are going to die. And, obviously, as you get into populations that get older, that's why the death rate in Florida is much higher than it is in other states. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, but think about it. Where do people go to retire?
Most of the
you're talking in your Nord
senior
again.
Community is down in Florida.
You're talking in your Nord.
I was.
Yeah. Okay.
That's because most
exactly. It's
the senior community is down in Florida.
Once again, it's not being mean about Florida. It's just the fact that a lot of people go to retire and they go to retire in Florida, and that's why and it raises the median age of the state. In some cities down there, the median age is really high because there's a lot of retirees down there. So there's
a lot of retirees in Arizona.
Well, once again, that's and you typically have that in the Sun Belt states because people, especially from New York, in the Rust Belt states, the northern states where it's cold, when they retire, they don't want to, they don't snow. We don't want snow. Why they call them snowbirds? Because they, when it snows, they leave town. So it's one of those things. So anyway, and statistically, there are people that die every day on cruise ships. There's people, ask anybody who's worked in the airline industry. There are people die on planes all the time.
See, I'm sure there are, but they don't make light of them.
Well, once again,
they don't sit there and advertise them or put them out there.
It's the reason this is our industry, our media industry. The reason you hear about it now is because people are reporting about it because it's TOMA, it's top of mind awareness. But yet, I mean, if you're into aviation, there's I won't say it's happening all the time, but there are several occasions. Anybody who is an airline pilot can tell you stories about pilots who die while flying, airline pilots. And if it's the pilot or the first officer, whoever, they die and the other one has to take over. There are instances of people in private planes. There was one not too long ago about there was a couple in a private plane, and he was the pilot and she was just a passenger, and he died of a heart attack, and she was aware enough to get onto the radio, and they talked her through landing the plane safely. I mean, once again, statistically it happens. Statistically, X amount of people in the St. Louis area are going to be involved in a car accident today. Statistically, so many of them are going to have minor injuries. Some of them are going to have major injuries, and unfortunately, some are going to be killed. Just the way things are.
Why do you put that stuff out in the universe?
It's because
first of all, it drives me crazy.
It's life. It's life. That's what happens. Once again, how do you think
what a self-fulfilling prophecy is, Brad?
No. How do you think the lottery works? It's statistics. They figure out that, they're...
you mean the lottery that they just cut in half for everyone?
Yes, yeah, when we need the money the most, they cut the lottery in half.
Exactly.
and the casinos are closed. Where do you get your fix? Now you go back to the old days where you meet some guy in an alley in St. Louis, and it's the numbers racket. You're betting with Joey Bighorn or whatever his name is. Who's
Joey B.
Yeah, who's running the?
Who knows people? He's got people.
Right, he's running the numbers racket. In the city. Hey, you want to make some money? Bet on the numbers. That kind of stuff. Yeah, because the lotteries cut it back, and you can't. I wonder if that's happened. I wonder if that's happened if there's like illegal gambling going on now because of the fact that the casinos are closed. Of course.
Well, I'm sure there is.
There aren't too many people who have slot machines in their house, so it's not like you can go home and play the slot machine or anything like that. Although you can do it online, right? God, I wonder.
Can you?
Oh, yeah. There's online gambling. Oh, matter of fact, I heard a commercial the other day.
That's with Bitcoin, isn't
it?
No.
I heard a commercial on a podcast. This particular podcast advertises a couple of these online betting services. And the guy comes on and says, hey, you may think just because of the fact there's no sports going on, there's no betting. No, we've got lots of things you can bet on. I'm going like, I got to find out what this is. But I forgot to check. They're probably, betting on. I mean, you know how it is. Las Vegas has all these crazy betting options like the Super Bowl. Every year they have goofy things like, who's going to win the coin toss? Will somebody fall off the stage during the halftime presentation? That kind of stuff, I mean, there was a guy, remember, when was that? It's been like 20 years ago because that's how long it's been since the Rams were in the Super Bowl. But there was a guy I remember that went to Las Vegas like in the summer before the football season started and bet, I don't know, like $100 the Rams would win the Super Bowl. And he made like some insane amount of money on that bet because at the time the Rams chance of winning the Super Bowl were like 1,000 to 1 or something like that. All sorts of crazy stuff. I can bet on the fact that Shelley that could, if I said to her, hey, what's the square root of 3? She would come back with the answer. Oh, I lost that bet. Okay. Oh, well, it was good while it lasted.
Oh, good. So we're even. Yes. So 50-50.
Yep. 8:38. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the morning. I am B. She is S. One of the things that that I haven't seen much about until the last couple of days is how the virus thing and the quarantining and the whole bit has been affecting the homeless population. Because especially like in the cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, where they're just all sleeping out on the streets in tents and things like that, in very close combined quarters, and quite honestly, not the most hygienic situation. That's one of the complaints that if you read the stories about what's going on, especially in San Francisco, that people are just, I hate to say this, but doing their thing on the sidewalk, if you know what I'm saying. Both number one and number 2, if you know what I'm saying. Okay.
They're using it as an outhouse.
Yes. The entire street is their bathroom, so to speak. Okay. Here's what's happened in Las Vegas, and I thought this was sort of fascinating because it's once again sort of the law of unintended consequences. There was a big homeless shelter in Las Vegas called the Catholic Charities Homeless Shelter, and it housed 500 homeless people. One of the residents came down with the coronavirus last week, so the Catholic Charities shut the place down. And they decided, okay, we can't have this because, if we have one person with 500 people cooped up in the same shelter. So they essentially said, we're sorry we have to do this, but we're closing. So they put almost 500 people out in the streets. They tried to do various, places. And what ended up happening was the city of Las Vegas decided to make the parking lot of the Cashman Center, which is sort of like it's a baseball complex and a stadium complex. They have conventions and there's a baseball stadium there for like minor league baseball. They decided to take the parking lot and making it into a homeless shelter. So first, what they did was they put down carpet on the parking lot. And, like if you go to conventions, they have those big rolls of carpet. They roll. If you go to the auto show, they have these big monster rolls of carpet they put down where all the cars sit on. You know what I'm talking about? And
I do.
And then they decided.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
No, not a good idea because it's very hard to clean carpet. Then they decided, and they pulled all the carpet up. Then they decided, we'll get sleeping mats because that's what they had at the Catholic Charities homeless shelter. and they couldn't get enough sleeping mats. So here's the controversy. They measured out the parking lot, and they had a company come in and line the parking lot. Normally, line it meaning like putting parking spaces on it. But in this case, they had a company come in, and on the parking lot, they put 6-foot squares down, and each of the square was where the person was supposed to sleep. So there's a picture of this parking lot with these 6-foot squares marked out with, paint on the blacktop parking lot, people sleeping in the squares. And bro's going like, hold on a minute. Why, this is terrible. And they're saying, why won't they let them go inside the Cashman Center, which is like a convention center kind of building? You know why?
Why?
Because the hospitals have already reserved that space in case they need overflow for hospital patients. And if you've probably seen...
That makes perfect sense.
Right, but they won't let the homeless out there. So now they're trying to figure out what to do with the homeless because people are saying it's terrible that they're laying in the parking lot. Now,
this is no different than the night before Black Friday, where people are sitting around the building for 24 hours.
Well,
getting their presents.
I have to tell you that if I were in Las Vegas, to me, sleeping in a parking lot, once again, there's security there. And it doesn't rain a lot in Las Vegas. And this time of the year, the temperature is pretty nice. Although, it's high desert, and in the night it gets cold. Even this time of the year, it still gets sort of on the cold side. It doesn't really get to be super hot. We're in March, April. Usually when I go out to the Las Vegas in April for our convention, the days are really nice. Probably the highs are somewhere like in the 80s. But still, if you've ever been in the desert before, it gets cold at night, even in the desert. So got to have a lot of blankets. But, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't mind sleeping in a parking lot. I've slept in the back of my truck before.
I've actually slept in the back of a truck as well.
Yeah, and quite honestly, some of the nice, I've slept in my truck on a couple of nice spring nights through the years, and I'm thinking, man, that would be nice. If I were going to build a place right now, if I were going to build a new place, I'd just have like a
shipping containers.
No, and I do. Either shipping containers, or I'd just build like a warehouse with a bunch of, bay doors I could pull cars and trucks in. And one of them would be, I would just get one of my old pickup trucks, and that would be my bed. I'd just sleep in the back of a pickup truck. That would be it.
Isn't there a country and western song like that?
I wrote it, yeah.
Of course you did.
No, I think that country western song has something to do with the fact that, when you get kicked out of your house by your wife, where do you go? You sleep in the back of your truck. Isn't it something like that?
Is that true? Or did you just make that up?
I just made it up. There's got to be
it'll be out on a single.
There's got to be a country song out there like
3
that.
months.
No. Well, you know what? They're not doing country songs like that anymore because it's all about brogue country. It's like, hey, baby.
Well, you could sing it.
Get up in my pickup truck. I got 35-inch wheels.
You can get a little twang on.
Put your pretty little pink toes on the dashboard. We're going to drive through town. Then we're going to go out by the river. We're going to get stuck. And we're going to go skinny dipping. And you and me will be drinking Jack. Did I just give you the essentially the 90% of most country songs?
Spoiler alert. You're notorious for that.
That's right. Okay, it is 8:49. Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, I didn't think you were there. Okay, hold on a minute.
I'm absolutely here. So did she talk over you again?
No. I screwed up. It was my fault, as is most things in life. It is Westplex in the morning, or PS in the morning on Westplex 107.1, 8:56. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back for our last words. Has she read your future?
No, she hasn't, because I really don't want to do the whole future thing, but I am considering going to see her sing about my Lisa.
You want to talk to her?
I do.
Interesting. Okay, that's going to do it for us. Final thoughts of the day. Anything you want to end with? By the way, I have to tell you this, and I saw this, we talk about, and I don't want to sound like I'm being a cold-hearted person as far as statistics and things like that. You didn't like my comment about X amount of people die on cruise ships and things like that.
No, I did.
Okay.
I really didn't.
Two different things here as far as statistics are concerned. And here's the deal right now. We talked about these 2 cruise ships. The Zaandam has 73 guests and 116 crew are sick. 446 guests and 600 crew are well. On the Rotterdam, there's nobody. sick. 797 guests are in good shape. 645 crew are in good shape as well, too. Now, here's the interesting thing with state of Missouri. Wait to hear these statistics. This makes you want to say, maybe I don't want to be in St. Louis County because of the fact that St. Louis County has 16% of the Missouri population, okay? But 35% of the C19 cases. St. Louis City has 5% of the Missouri population and 9% of the cases. Kansas City has 8% of the Missouri population, 10% of the C19 cases. Jackson County, which is the county surrounding, that actually Kansas City is in, has 11% of Missouri population, 5% of the cases. So on our side of the state, Missouri has St. Louis County has 35% of the cases, and St. Louis City has 9% of the cases. But yet, if you add those together, 9 and 35 gives you 44. We have 44%, almost half the cases in the state of Missouri, and yet we only have about 21% of the population. Is that spooky or what?
That is, it's going to get worse before it gets better. That's all I can say.
So if you're going to do some traveling, it might be better to go to like northern Missouri, way up there where it's nothing but cornfields and wheat fields, or way down south.
I'm going to have Jan Stanzik on tomorrow. What do you think?
Yeah, have you already contacted her?
I have not.
Okay, let's see if we can get her on. Jan runs Jan's Travel. Wonderful lady. If there's a business that's getting kicked in the shorts, it's her business right now. But
absolutely it is.
Let's talk to her and see what's going on, because she's a veteran. She's been through this before.
She
and she always, what's fascinating about,
she's lovely.
Well, yeah, but she knows her business, and she's one of those people that when you ask her a question, you get an answer and you feel like, wow, this lady knows what she's talking about. As opposed to if you ask me a question, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but yet, I'll BS my way through it, right?
You are a good BSer.
No parting shots or anything like that?
No, I wanted to tell everybody just to have a good day. I'm sure the president is going to come out on his coronavirus update. So check into that. Westplex.news, go ahead there. And
we didn't do?
Been a slice of heaven as usual.
We didn't do advertisers. We didn't do anniversaries and birthdays this morning.
Christy and Joe Horton, 9th anniversary, and Hugh Janus turning 10.
Did you hear that? Hugh Janus is turning 10.
Yeah, he's been 10 for like 12 years.
And did you hear that? Joe Biden has been on TV talking about the whole? I heard the reporter Jake Tapper ask him last night, Mr. Biden, what do you think about what's going on with the C-19 thing?
I got hairy legs that turn blonde.
He did not. You better be serious.
He did. And Mr. Biden, what would you do differently if you were the president?
I got hairy legs.
And Mr. Biden, what would you say about Donald Trump?
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Wow. Mudslinging's getting
a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
My ex-boss, Joel Denver, who is doing nothing but tweeting nasty things about Donald Trump. Love him, hate him. I mean, once again, at this point in time, respect the position, respect the rank, and not the person. Okay, that's all I'll say. And has Donald Trump done some dumb things? Yes, he has. But once again, he's the prez. He's in charge. If you don't like him, wait till November, and he'll be gone. Right? Simple as that. And then we'll have Joe Biden, and Joe Biden can say things like,
and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again.
Just wow. Oh, look, it's 9:03.
Shelley, and we're supposed to be back on the air this afternoon, but I may not be here this afternoon because...
Why?
I got bronchitis.
Oy vey. So are we really not coming on?
Well, there's a problem because I smell smoke and in the studio, and I'm not exactly sure, but
The building is on fire.
Oh my goodness. You really are a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Calm down. Calm down.
Shelly, what's canoodling mean? Okay.
I just don't even know what to say about you, except for it's 9:04.
Hi, Caleb from Extreme Electrical. We go to extremes to take care of our customers, residential, commercial, or industrial. We will do what it takes to